What?
My garage is now a really nice studio.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Is that where you... Fuck it. Let's start. Okay. All right. Welcome back, people who didn't miss me or whatever. Anyway, it's been a while since we've done one. Wasted potential. We're going again. What's the time? All right. So I can at least keep an eye on it. Oh, we'll do a break at some point, too.
Okay.
You know, play one of your songs because they sound so fucking good. They really do.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we're here with one of your three names. I guess Casey, is it Astorino?
Astorino. But the artist name is ASTRINA.
Is ASTRINA, yeah.
Yes.
So, and I know you as Daria Black, which you're not allowed to use anymore, apparently.
No, I'm not.
Or something. What happened? Did you get shit from someone for?
Yes. So there's an artist named Daria Black, and he had a trademark, and he was not happy that I existed.
Oh.
And he got my music taken down and my social accounts suspended.
Whoa.
And, I found out I probably have more of a right to the name than he does legally because, the lawyer explained it having a trademark is like planting a flag, but you have to actually defend the land, and he doesn't really have a following to defend it. But, to prove that in court would have cost tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm
my God.
okay, I'll change the name.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think you've told me parts of this story before because every time I see you, I'm like, Daria, Astorino. Casey.
I know, no one knows what to do anymore. I'm just call me whichever one you want.
I mean, I love the Astorino name personally, and if you know your last name, it's a little easier to remember.
Yeah.
So wait, who is this guy? Dario Black. Does he suck? He sucks, doesn't he?
No comment.
He sucks. Yeah, he does.
He has some interesting videos.
Is he from here in LA?
He lives in LA now. I don't know where he's from originally, but I know he's in LA.
Well, I just got him probably some extra views, so my bad. I kind of want to go check him out, though. What genre is he? Is he working in your genre at all?
He's trying to sell himself as a Latin pop sex symbol, and I don't know if he should be.
Oh my God. That's got to be one of the funniest genres to fail in. You know, if you're trying to market yourself that way and you're just, is she a schlub?
I don't want to be mean, but
I'll be mean for you. He sounds like a schlub. Well, that's awful. So wait, how did that transpire? I mean, how did he probably found you because you have more listeners than him?
So I think what happened was my Google search started getting good. This is totally a guess. It's just one time I searched him and it said, "Did you mean Daria Black?"
Oh.
So I don't know if that's what happened. I'm just he seemed very emotional about it. So I figure something, there must have been some kind of mix up or something. Cause I was I don't think there's a crossover. I don't know. I got an email from him one day. This was when my EP was about to come out, when I was going to release an EP. And he was like, "I have this trademark. I recommend you change your name before you release your EP or I'm going to have to take legal action." It was a pretty harsh email. And, I responded he was still really easy to find. You could definitely tell the difference. We don't have crossing over genres. When you search Dario Black on Spotify, it didn't default to Daria Black.
Right.
I don't know. Different name, but he
Dario
wasn't
is not
having it.
Daria.
It's not.
That doesn't make that does not make me happy. That pisses me off, actually. This guy sounds like a jerk. So he reached out. How did he get all your stuff taken down? That's what I don't understand.
So, all the social media platforms there's a submit form for trademark stuff. So
Okay.
I'm sure he used that. He got my Twitter suspended. Instagram, I think, ignored him, thankfully. I eventually got Twitter back. But
I'm still suspended.
Yours is?
Yeah, I got suspended a while ago. I can't come back.
Everyone gets suspended.
I know, I used
Twitter.
a naughty word.
Oh, no.
Now I'm not allowed there anymore.
Oh, no.
I like Twitter, actually.
Yeah?
I was doing well at a certain point with a decent following and stuff, and
No.
I used the R word. It wasn't
Oh.
good. It wasn't nice. It wasn't nice and it wasn't good, but I got permanently banned.
Yeah.
And it's weird because when they suspend you too, they don't tell you. At least for me, they didn't tell me.
No, your account is just gone, right?
I just had 0 followers, 0
Yeah.
posts. Every time I went in, I couldn't even look at new posts or anything. I couldn't even use the platform, let alone tweet or comment or interact in any way. And so I had to email them, and they just send you a generic copy form.
Right.
That's just well, you've been found to have violated the community standards or something. And I'm like, okay. I emailed him back. I'm like, if I delete it, and I don't know what, say sorry. I'm not a big account. Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to care if I say sorry or not. Like, I was drunk tweeting one night. It was stupid. Like,
Right. No, they're very strict.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I had to, well, my Twitter was doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
After the suspension, I felt like I didn't have control over it and like stopped using it because I was just like discouraged, but it was doing well.
Did you really? You just stopped?
No, I use it. I just, I was putting a lot of effort into the platform.
Yeah.
And like engaging with people, and it was working. And I don't know. I guess lately I haven't been like focusing as much on social media.
That's great.
Yeah. It's been nicer to not. But yeah, so the way I got it back was kind of, so I went on LinkedIn. I looked for people who went to my school that worked at like Twitter.
Oh.
And then I found friends of friends on Facebook.
Whoa.
And then contacted someone directly who had a loose connection. But other than that, yeah, there's no way of getting a hold of anyone at Twitter.
That's smart as hell. That's a good move. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You can't actually contact a human being. You're never going to plead your case. Their rules are ever-changing and unclear. And it's a shame, too, because actually Twitter, for me anyway, was one of the only social media platforms where I managed to, like, I don't want to say make friends, but, like,
I get that.
Yeah, I had, like, repeat interactions with people, and we started DMing and,
Totally.
like, actually kind of...
Well, because it's not a superficial platform if you're using it well, because there's not... Like, Instagram, people just want to look at your pictures.
Yeah.
And, like I have so many followers that I'm pretty sure have never heard my music.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I don't even know why some people are following me. Like, my least favorite part of Instagram is just, like, either the bots or just the fake people who are like, hey, are you interested? Actually, the best ones are you interested in growing your, your followers or whatever on your page? Here's my rates, whatever. And then you go to their page and they have, like, 57 followers. It's like... Yeah, that'd be really cool to get as many followers as you, man. Like,
well, they're all like fake accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're fake accounts that because their real accounts get suspended by using the techniques they're trying to sell. So they build all these fake accounts with a few followers to reach out to people.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten this message? Me and Connor from Karma Vulture have gotten this a million times, where a person reaches out and goes, hey, do you write original songs? First off, if you're going to ask me if I write original songs, you have clearly not looked at anything that I do. You saw a hashtag that I must have used, And they reach out and they go, my son is turning like 10. Do you think you could write a song for his birthday? Have you ever gotten that one?
No.
I've gotten it like 6 times.
6 times?
Yeah. And I actually went back and forth with this guy.
What energy are you putting out into the world?
Not good vibes. Karma's coming back and doing some weird things to me. But Connor's gotten it too. So we must be using a few hashtags or one hashtag in particular that's getting us
birthday requests.
I've never done a birth like. Also, if you did hear my original music, what would suggest to you that I should write a song for your child?
I don't know. I was thinking that. I was like, what kind of children are you raising?
Satanists? Like,
No.
I mean, LA is a progressive town and they have some, interesting standards here, but yeah, I don't think you want me doing a children's song. That's half of my songs are about being drunk. The other half are like just anger and, angst.
I feel like they'd be great for the like rebellious teen.
For sure.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to market to that crowd, but it's weird. I haven't, this is like, I guess since I'm not from here, I never really thought about music that way. I mean, obviously I moved here to play music, but I never really thought about like, okay, who's my target demographic?
Oh yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and now like the more people I
still
talk
don't
to,
know.
that's what I mean. Well, but you're doing something right. I mean, you have a decent amount of Spotify listeners, and like, I mean, I don't know how many of them you would consider committed fans or anything, but
It's hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Based on like the numbers across platforms, I'd say there's about 1,000 people who consistently listen to my music.
yeah. So if you put something new out, they will listen to it.
Yeah, once they hear about it.
Yeah,
Getting
yeah.
everyone to hear about it takes some time.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Other than that, like I have a bunch of people who probably know like one song.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah.
That's better than a bunch of people who don't know any of your songs.
That's true.
You know?
No, I'm grateful for every listener.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, when you're like, so the weird thing about now, are you going down the route of like, are you trying to, I don't know if you have management or agents
I
or
do
whatever.
not. I do it all myself.
Yeah. So are you trying to go down that path of doing it all yourself and lean into that? Or are you trying to build yourself so that you look attractive to a management or record labels or?
So, like every young aspiring artist who's never put out music, I always thought like someone was going to find me and make it all happen for me.
Yeah.
And so I started doing everything myself when I realized, oh, it doesn't work that way. I would love to have like more of a team.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's overwhelming trying to keep up with everything yourself.
It's impossible.
Especially now because I've started like working on other artists' music some too, and like it's like there's only so many hours in the day, and like it's not just hours in the day though, because I fortunately like have the luxury of spending like almost all of my time on music.
That's great.
But trying to juggle that many things, you just like can't, and balls are all over the floor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's yeah, you're living in a fun zone after a while. What do they call those? Ball pits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my life.
Yeah, that's essentially my life
I'm
too.
trying to juggle it all.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. Well, that's, you were saying you're spending less time on social media. The crazy thing about LA not being from here, I think it's more normal. Are you from here?
I grew up about an hour outside the city.
Okay, where'd you grow up?
Orange County.
Oh, okay.
A pretty little bubble.
I just had a buddy of mine try to argue that I should move there, and I'm like,
I don't see that for you.
I don't. Exactly. I was like, I have nothing against Orange County, but for me, I don't know,
I just
man.
don't see that.
I don't
I have
think
nothing
so.
against it either.
I mean, the Wayfarer's cool. Like, they do have some cool venues. Costa Mesa's a nice little haven, But with my type of energy and my personality, I mean, I don't see a market for myself down there, really. I don't know if the vibe fits. They have been open through the lockdowns earlier than almost everybody else.
Yeah.
So there is that, and I am a rebel, so But yeah, I mean, you were saying you don't get on social media as much, and for me, it's like, the LA people are like almost so focused on the marketing of their music that they forget to make music. Mm-hmm. Versus other real artists are so focused on the music that they forget to market the music, so nobody ever hears it.
Yeah.
If you have a way to balance that, which you don't because there's balls all over your floor, but if you have a way to balance it, I'd love to hear it, because I like go through these phases where, okay, I'll do a post a day on Instagram and I'll go actually respond to the direct messages I've gotten. And then I just go through a phase of a month where
that's what I do.
I don't post anything.
I go through like spurts. I just like sprint and then move. I wish there was a method to my madness. Yeah. I used to just be more effective at juggling it all before I had like other projects on my hands. And honestly, I think I just got a little burnt out from doing it and had to like focus a little more on like my sanity and mental health.
Yep.
So I was like putting like 100% into every avenue.
If you found some mental health, can I have some?
I've been good for several years now, and I would love to share it with people, because it's very nice to be mentally stable.
Oh, it's lovely. You have a very positive vibe, so I'm soaking it in as much as I can, Well, I definitely noticed that thematically too in your music. It sounds like that might play into it. I listened to earlier. Well, before I get into that, actually, you say you're now producing other people? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
I'm just getting into it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were telling me you wanted to look at production stuff with me.
Yes, I absolutely
Ableton.
do.
Are you still using Ableton?
I am still using Ableton.
Okay.
I'm not on 11 yet. I'm still on 10. I don't know if...
I forgot that 11 came out. I still have 10.
Is
it very different?
Well, the advantage of it is, I don't know if are you familiar with Logic and Pro Tools?
I mostly use Logic.
Okay, yeah. So you know how in Logic, if you're recording, and this is mostly important for tracking live...
is it like where you can do multiple takes in the same track?
Swipe comping. It is so fucking convenient. Like, it is the most convenient.
I don't know how you live without that.
Here's what I do. I track to Logic, and then I mix in Ableton, which is not an efficient system.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I used to do, like, audio editing in Pro Tools and then bring it into Logic.
Yeah.
I occasionally did like drum programming in Ableton. I used to be all over the place, but now Logic is just like where I sit.
The way you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Logic, there's like huge advantages to Logic, in my opinion. I've never mixed in Logic. I've engineered sessions in Logic, but I've never mixed in Logic.
So I've only like professionally mixed one song. It hasn't come out yet.
Did you mix your album?
No, I don't mix my own stuff because I
spend. Because damn, does it sound good? You got some chops, yo. Like
Keith Armstrong mixes my stuff.
Okay.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Who is that?
He'd do great with your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would love working on your stuff actually. But yeah, so I don't mix my own stuff because I spend so many hours like in it.
Yeah.
I feel like I just can't. Like I feel like fresh ears need to mix something.
Yeah.
Because then they like hear like I know everything that's there so well. I don't know what needs to like.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Well, I you know, in particular, I was like, because I was wondering, because you know Eddie Immer.
Mm-hmm.
He was telling me that you're very good with sounds in general and certain production stuff and whatnot. And so I was listening to your album earlier today, and I got to the song "Blind," and that's my favorite one on the album.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm glad you appreciate that one. It's not as loved.
Yeah, and you can see why, because and for the record, it's my favorite. So you know, I don't mean you can see why as in like because it sucks. Like, but in that genre and in that particular style, I don't know who you think your demographic is, and I would love to know. But I would guess that the types of people who are listening to that would probably not be as interested in the weird time signature, the kind of Radiohead, Nine Inch Nails type production. You know,
my music used to like be all in that vein, and then what happened was someone was like, I bet you can't write a pop song. And I was like, I can write a pop song, which I like to tell that story at shows. But it just kind of made all my music veer in a more pop direction.
For sure.
I still don't think it's that pop. Some of it is. I don't know. It depends on the song.
I was trying to nail down like, so I don't know how much. So what's the album called again? The 2020
Between
album?
the Mirror.
Between the Mirror, yeah. And you had a single come out not like on the 19th of this month, right?
Five Oceans.
Yeah, which I really like too. I mean, yeah, I was. You've heard the music I make, you know. You might be surprised to find that I like that music that much, but I really do. There's no genre I don't like.
Yeah.
You know? Club rap, actually, I hate. But and some variations of Baroque opera. But and whenever country and rap artists meet up to do collaborations,
I don't understand that. I'm gonna be honest.
It is horrible. Here's the connection. I think is like country artists are singing about like trucks and chicks and beer. Rap artists are singing about money and chicks and whatever drugs they're doing. Like there's kind of
there's an overlap in subject matter,
not in the music at all. And so when it comes together, you're just like, oh my God. And it's produced with this like top 40 sleek sound, and it's just, it's so bad. But when I was listening to Between the Mirror, which is an interesting title, in my opinion.
It's kind of weird. I like mostly understand it. It's one of those things where like it makes sense to me, but I can't articulate it that well.
Yeah. I like it a lot. And the album art is really cool too. And so I was listening to it and I was like, okay, so what, like, how much of that arrangement and production stuff is you, and how much is your guy, Keith Armstrong?
So I do all the production arrangement. He does the mixing. So basically
Really?
I give him all the stems, and he does like EQ, compression.
Okay, so he's purely mixing.
Purely mixing.
Okay, that's great. Well, in that case, where are your influences coming from? And so somebody challenged you to write a pop song.
Yes.
And that sort of steered your music in a more pop direction.
Yeah, and I think I'm kind of veering out of that a little now.
That's great. I mean, in my opinion. In people who want you to make money's opinion, it's not great, but, you know.
It's going in an interesting direction. There's like kind of like it's branching now.
Yeah.
But what was your question?
I didn't really have one. I was just kind of rambling. I guess where are your influences coming? Yeah.
So I don't listen to as much music as musicians.
I listen to almost none.
Yeah, I listen to less music than the average human, I think.
It's because you're making it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've always been that way, though. Like, I started with writing... So, I don't know if you know this, but I started with writing classical music. I just played piano growing up. I preferred making stuff up. I didn't even call it writing, but I've done that since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And then I started, like, writing it. Then in high school, it became more serious because I started writing for the school ensembles.
Yeah.
And then I went to college for music composition, and I thought I was going to do film scoring. And
Really? Where'd you go?
USC.
Nice.
So, and that's where I discovered like playing in bands and performing, and I was like, oh, I like this more.
Oh shit, that's actually
This is way
super
more
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reason I say that is like, even though my music sounds totally different, I've always just like, my writing process is just meditative.
Cool.
And I think the same thing for sound design. If I start like thinking or trying to make stuff sound a certain way,
Yeah.
I just get stuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just kind of have to let whatever happens.
Yeah.
And like, I guess the exception would be when someone was like, write a pop song. But even then I didn't like pull up a reference. I was just like, okay, it'll be a like faster tempo.
Right.
I'll start with that. And but yeah, so I have music I love. My go-to things to say are Radiohead, The XX, and Muse.
Okay.
Lately, Aurora. I love Aurora.
Aurora's interesting, yeah.
She's very interesting.
Yeah. I never got into the XX, but Radiohead and Muse are two of my all-time favorites. Yeah.
It's so funny because there's like Radiohead people are like, Muse is just like knock off Radiohead. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're just different.
Get out of here.
They're
Get
not
outta
even
here.
the same.
Radiohead started as knockoff grunge. So, like, look, if you listen to Origin of Symmetry or what's the album before that? Their first album with Muscle Museum and I can't even... Fame or...
No.
Not Fame. Whatever it is.
I can't remember.
It's their first... It's got Muscle Museum. It's got a couple other ones on there. Most people don't know the album. I was really big on it when I was a kid. If you listen to that, it sounds to me like Radiohead's Pablo Honey, because Pablo Honey is a band like trying to find out what they sound like. They're just doing what they think is cool.
Yeah.
And then Radiohead, real radio hands, fans, Radiohead hands. the real ones know, though, like once you really get into like OK Computer Kid A, In Rainbows, just the meat of the Radiohead thing, that's really Radiohead.
Right.
Muse, to me, I actually started really disliking after Second Law, probably.
A lot of people did.
I dropped off.
Actually, after Second Law, I did drop off.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the album after that.
Because it's awful. It's just bad. Like,
I think I did listen to, the synth sounds in it are like so cheesy.
They're
I'm sorry, I love you, Matt Bellamy, but like...
Well, he's a genius. I mean, and he's so good, but exactly. I remember I watched an interview like when the Second Law was coming out, and he was literally saying like, yeah, I'm listening to a lot of Britney Spears and trying to do that. And I'm like, don't, man.
Wait, really?
Yeah. He's literally saying that. In an
However, once I started producing, I did gain a new appreciation for Britney Spears.
Absolutely, because it's produced really well.
It's produced really well.
Yes. Once you start producing, you gain a new appreciation for almost every genre, in my opinion, like except for club rap. Because it's not, it's nothing musically interesting is happening there. Like all the cool production that could come from club rap is already in EDM, any EDM genre, or it's in like pop. Trap is bleeding over into pop now, so you don't need explicitly trap music necessarily. Like, I understand its contribution, but I can't stand it. But yeah, I mean, really interesting. And then they tried to do that album with drones on it, Muse, and it was like, oh, you're going back to the well, But
I don't even know if I listened to that one.
It's not worth listening to. It's if you've heard Absolution or Origin of Symmetry or Black Holes or The Second Law, you've already heard this album. Like, okay, it's just produced, quote
when
unquote.
When did it come out? Better. I don't think I even.
2 years ago.
Where have I been?
So if you like Muse, have you ever seen them live?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Amazing live.
They're ridiculous live.
I saw them in Paris live.
Whoa,
which was super cool because they played like lots of music that they never would have played in the U.S.
That is so badass. Yeah, they played all their weird stuff. They had an excuse to do it.
And their random stuff with like French in the songs.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. There's that song on Second Law that has that. You Belong to Me. Yeah, they I mean, man, they were so good for so long. Anyway, they have this riff that they do live all the time that they made into the song Drones, which to me was just kind of like going back to the well, huh? You know, like, you've already done it, man. If anything, Matt Bellamy, I would love to see him either compose a symphony or do more sound designy stuff rather than lean into the pop thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he cashed in, you know?
I mean, he might go back. I don't know. I had not heard about the Britney Spears interview thing. That
weird, right?
Shocks me.
Yeah. But it kind of isn't shocking if you think of like Supermassive Black Hole. Like,
yeah.
And that kind of stuff. So that album after the Second Law was,
oh my God, now I'm imagining Britney singing Supermassive Black Hole.
Which, by the way,
it works.
You know, Toxic?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could mash up those songs probably.
You can. I'm hearing it now.
Yeah. It's weird when you start thinking about it, but yeah, Matt Bellamy. Again, the further you go into the world of sounds, like you're saying with production is so interesting. I don't know when you started like doing production, but this pandemic and the lockdowns and all that gave me so much time to be able, and you can't play live.
Right.
Also, I built a new computer, got some new gear, and, you know, because I was tired of working on a piece of shit that can't do what I need it to do. It impedes my workflow at every single opportunity. And I'm not trying to produce my own stuff, but I do want to be better at that. You know? It's such a fascinating world. It's like, sounds are a playground. Like, I remember
They
now.
really are.
Yeah, you know? And, like, so I started looking into that. And now that I've been looking into it, I'm bringing up all these mixes as references and stuff and, like, checking out all these sounds. And I'm just like, oh, wait.
This sounds so good. Like, I don't like the music, but this sounds so good.
I like these sounds. I don't know if I can say exactly. I don't know if I can say I like this song. But I have to like yeah.
It's weird because like the reason I make music and the reason I listen to music is like the feeling music gives me.
Oh yeah.
But now that I know sound and sound design so well and like harmony because I studied music so in depth, fortunately that's more distant so it's less in my head.
Yeah.
But like I hear it and I forget to feel. I'm just like I hear all these details.
100%.
It's like
100%.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome and kind of awful. Like, it, you know, part of it, that's totally an issue. Like, I hear songs now that people show me, and in my head, I'm like, this is a really cool song. But I'm just listening to, like, how'd they get that kick to sit in there like that?
But also, it's sad because I struggle now to appreciate good songs that are produced badly. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's hard for me to hear past it when I'm like, this sounds like a muddy mess.
Why does this sound like garbage? Yeah. Well, and so my workaround on that mentally anyway is because I come from, and this would probably be different for you if you went to school. Did you go for composition? Or?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, here's the thing that really caught me about your album is it's compositionally extremely interesting in my opinion. Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely in sort of the pop vein and with an ear towards pop and stuff like that, but I mean, to me, I've always been a sucker for pop music because it's doing what you want it to do. I don't know. I listened to half of the album on my run, and that might have helped because I was just like, like, and then the other half I was actually like listening to, and I listened to Blind twice because I had to because it's so like the string arrangement reminded me of Nude by Radiohead.
Oh, I'm so flattered.
Yes, which is one of my all-time favorite Radiohead songs. And In Rainbows is. What's your favorite Radiohead album?
It's between In Rainbows and Kid A.
At least you didn't say Amnesiac. Like, yeah, In Rainbows and Kid A are probably mine as well. King of Limbs, I admittedly can't even listen to. It's better now on the second time around, but the first time I heard it, I was so offended. And then Moonshaped Pool, I thought was like...
Oh, I really liked that.
Holy shit, it's another masterpiece. They did it again.
It's weird. The first time I heard it, I was like not as blown away. I don't know why.
It's kind of a slow burn type of album, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an album that's immediately gonna like shake you to your core.
No, you kind of have to pay attention.
You have to sit with it. Exactly. Yeah. You have to get some good wine and, sit down and get to know it. Like, take it on a date. Buy a dinner first. Christ, But yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, my kind of my workaround for like bad mixes and stuff is I actually enjoy some things that sound conventionally bad. And it might be because I come from a more like punk background, and I think that might have something to do with it. But there's some stuff where, are you a Ty Segall fan? You know him?
I'm not that familiar with that music.
I'll show you some of his stuff because he's, from a producer's perspective, really, really interesting because he comes out with a lot of stuff. I mean, he's a dope songwriter. He's got a lot of bullshit. He's one of those guys that's like 3 albums a year. And it's like,
oh, wow.
How good could those albums be? Unless you're Elton John. Like, but on every one of those, there's at least 3 or 4 songs where you're just like, well, I can't really help that my body wants to move to this, like, and like, so he does this stuff like where it's very garagey, it's very self-produced, although he's bigger than that now, but technically I think some of the stuff you're just like, man, that kick is just like punching me in the head, and the saxophone is so dirty, but the way it all works together is really charming, And so that's kind of how I get around it in my head. You can't get past a bad sounding mix, There's no making up for that. But some stuff that people think is muddy or tinny, or I usually hate tinny sounding stuff, but like muddy stuff, I can kind of get past some of that because I'm like, well, that's a wompy kick, and that bass is like swallowing the whole thing. Like, cool, I guess. I don't know. I guess I like the song, but I mean, for sure, I have a friend's band, Salem's Bend, who I heard a mix of theirs, loved the song, and straight up I was just like, can I remix that? Hey, look, I get to practice. I'm not charging anything, and he potentially gets a better mix or a worse one. I don't know.
Right.
Like, but exactly, in some of that music, you're just like, what could I do to that to do it differently? So, I mean, on the production side, like, what are you doing? Who are you working with, and what capacity? I mean, as much as you can divulge. Are you looking into like production classes and stuff like that? Or are you just hacking it away on your own?
Mostly hacking it away on my own. So I started learning to produce, one, because when I was in college, I interned with a film scorer. So he worked in like Digital Performer, though, which no one even has heard of. It's like a weird DAW. So I like
Digital Performer.
Yeah, no one uses it.
I've never heard of that. Yeah.
But it's good for film scoring.
That's great.
But that's where I started to learn how to like use a DAW. And then I had this electronic project with a producer where I would just like sit there during sessions and just like watch intently.
Oh, that's so lucky of you. Yeah.
He's a really good producer, so I learned so much. And like I thought that was like the project that was going to be like my life, but like I put so much of myself into that project, and he had like a bunch going on.
What was the project?
And we never ended up releasing anything, so we never even decided on a name. But we had a bunch of really cool music, but it was one of those projects that no one's ever going to hear anything from it. But yeah, so I got frustrated.
It's a cat trying to get out of a door, probably. Okay. Are you allergic to cats? Because there's a couple of them here.
Okay,
and that one cats. Wants out. Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, I don't remember.
Yeah, I do that to people.
No, it's okay. Oh yeah, so he had a bunch of stuff going on, and I was like, I want to commit to making music, and so eventually I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to do this myself.
Yeah.
And I had like spent so much time watching him do it that like I kind of knew where to start.
Yeah.
And then just like trusted my ear for a long time, and like after that, I kind of like went into this hole of like, I'm only ever going to work with myself. And like, I'm the only person I can trust.
Yep, and I'm the only person I can trust to do this the right way.
Right. So I went into that hole, and then I like
all
realized,
been there.
And then I started collaborating a little bit, and was like, oh, I learn a lot even from just doing like one session with someone.
Yes.
So
yeah. Well, and that's why I was saying, after I heard some of your stuff and sort of got to know the way you think, I actually had to intuit it, because admittedly we've never really talked at length, which is a shame, but here we are. But exactly, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I want to. I told Trey the same thing, because I can't remember if he mixes his. I think he said he does produce his own stuff.
He produces his own stuff. He gets it mixed.
Okay, yeah. Cheater. Trey. But no, that's awesome. I told him too, especially with like this electronic based stuff. I'm coming from such a dinosaur world of analog stuff, and I want to know how to use it. And when you sit down with people, and it doesn't even have to be anything formal, when you sit down with people and just spend a couple hours just kind of
You
like
just see their process.
Yes, exactly. And you take things from that.
Right.
You
They
know?
have like a little trick, and you're like, oh, I never would have thought to do that.
Exactly.
And then
that
suddenly
one
it's like
trick.
integral to your process.
Exactly. Yeah. I got this, Andrew Sheps?
No.
He produced and mixed tons of famous records, notably like Chili Peppers, Stadium Arcadium, and stuff like that, which whatever you think of the Chili Peppers, I know here in LA they're stigmatized, but
I like them.
I love them. Yeah. I really, really like the Chili Peppers. But that is an amazing sounding album. And there's this one trick he does.
Those sound good with not much happening in them.
Did you know Californication is all in mono? That album.
What?
Yeah. Go re-listen. It's in mono with stereo effects. It's insane.
Weird.
Go listen. I'm telling you, it made me want to do some mono stuff. I'm like, think how many of those songs are famous. Like,
yeah.
And he did it because the radio at the time was playing stuff in mono,
Okay.
But if you listen to it on a stereo system, it's still huge.
So with stereo effects, are you just like, is there like stereo delays or like, okay. It's just like the actual raw instruments are mono.
All of the actual raw audio content is mono, and then you have stereo delay, stereo reverb, stereo choruses, and stuff like that.
Okay,
but it's pretty sparse, as I remember.
But that could still make it sound pretty wide.
It does, yeah. But what's kind of cool about it is when you listen to it on a mono system,
it probably works way better.
It's super cool.
Interesting.
If you just output it and you put on like a mono plugin, whatever, and you hear it in mono, it's super dope. Like,
well, switching to mono when you're mixing is always like a good thing to go back and forth.
Smart, and I'm always too lazy to do it. I'm always too lazy to do it. But I need to discipline myself. Another thing I need to discipline myself is to actually reference mixes when I'm mixing. I get so lazy and just get so head up my own ass kind of thing,
For mixing, I like I don't use references often at all for
Neither
production.
Yeah.
But for mixing, they're very helpful.
I mean, for mixing, you kind of have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's like, what's the difference between production and mixing? I mean, these words mean less than they used to, I think, because...
They do, but like, I don't know, like I do a ton of mixing in my production. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I give there's tons of effects and stuff on stuff when
That's what I'm talking
give it
about.
to the mixer, but like, I don't know, but going in and like specifically mixing is just like such a talent.
Yes, it is.
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and I suppose it's different from production. Well, it definitely is.
It's a different approach, I guess.
Yeah, it is. That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
It's like, I like to describe, when I try to describe this to non-musicians, I'm like, okay, if you compare it to photography, the producer is like choosing the shot, like arranging the props, putting the person in position, and takes the photo, and then the mixer like color edits it so it all looks cohesive.
Right.
And then like the mastering guy prints it really nicely.
Yeah. Whenever people ask me like, what's mastering versus mixing, I'm like,
mastering is so hard to describe.
Yeah, because it's like, what is it? But it's almost like, well, another mixer took a crack at it and made it, but the mastering engineers are also responsible for like leveling, normalizing in some cases. What do you call it? Sequencing. Like that's super important, and it's really just like, it's like fine grained sandpaper. I don't know how to put it. Like it's just, without it, you would notice a difference,
Right.
I don't know how to describe it. Yeah.
I've never personally done like a strict master. Like,
I've done a few, in that it was my role in the chain of operations.
Yeah. No, I mean like I've mastered songs I've mixed, but like I usually just have that. I don't know. I'm not very good at mastering.
Neither am I don't think.
Yeah. I've never been like exclusively the mastering person.
So I have.
Okay.
And I don't know why. But it was for a buddy. I've done it a couple times. It was for a buddy who I begged him to let me mix it. I just said, dude, you can produce it and do your thing. Just send it to me to mix it, because he's definitely one of the more talented songwriters I know. This specific person. And why not shout out Roberto? What's up, man? And he's so good, but his ear for mixing in particular, not necessarily production, but mixing in particular, is just not quite there.
Yeah. Well, your ear has to, like, I swear to God, you learn to sense new things.
You absolutely do.
Like,
well, sorry, yeah, what were we saying?
No, I just don't know that any other sense works that way.
I don't know. Yeah, I was reading that, or I'm sorry, my buddy was telling me, like, old mixing and mastering engineers will lose, because as you get older, your ability to detect the highs. But they still know how to, like, sense them in some way, because their ears have become so fine-tuned after a life of listening to these sounds that it's almost like they know their deficit, therefore they know
how to adjust for it.
Yeah, they know how to, like, attenuate that. Yeah. I can't remember how he described it. And I know physically, because I studied, neurobiology and that stuff. Like, physically, you literally just lose the hairs and the cells. They're gone.
Right.
So you're
Which
not
is terrifying.
It is terrifying, isn't it?
It is.
Can you imagine being Beethoven? That guy didn't kill himself somehow. Like,
I know.
And he has a very famous letter that I think he wrote to his brother, where he says, "I'm thinking about suicide. I'm the only thing."
I understand.
I would have killed myself 10 years before he died. Like, that's insane.
Right.
And he was just so good that, like, he could still put it down without being able to really hear much, which is really, really insane when you think about it. It's that guy might be the greatest composer ever. I don't know. Beethoven or Mozart?
Beethoven.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Beethoven. God damn it, cheers to that. That's the side I come down on too. I didn't know we were this similar. Yeah, I mean, I think with mixing too and production, it's probably, I don't know if it's necessary, but it's really, really important to have like a mentor, kind of. Like, you had the guy that you got to sit on his sessions. I have Josh Martinez, who's produced a lot of the Absurd stuff. He's also produced stuff for other people, blah, blah, blah. He's just way better than me. And, he's been doing it way longer, whatever.
Right, I mean, it's just a time game at some point.
It is, yeah, and hours committed, too.
Right.
He's just so, like, it is amazing to see. Oh, yeah, the Andrew Sheps trick. That's what I was getting to. Jeez. My doctor said I might have ADHD. I'm starting to think I do. So what he'll do is it's a vocal production trick. In order to get the vocals to cut through a dense or thick or dark mix, he'll basically set up a return track, or you could do it with parallel processing, where he sends the vocals to it. He uses a Pultec EQ because it has a specific shape to its cut. You can appropriate it with any kind of EQ plugin, though. So it's a really, really broad high pass up to maybe 2K. So it's taking a shit ton of that off.
Wow.
Am I using that correctly? High pass is a low cut.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Okay. I hate that. I really hate that.
It's annoying that there's two names to describe the same thing.
So annoying. Like, just decide on one. Like, high pass is low cut. Okay. Anyway, so he uses a really broad one. You take it down 4 to 6 decibels, something like that. And then you use a LA2A compressor, but you put it all the way on the high filter, so it's not doing it's not compressing the full signal. It's just getting the high.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would have. Okay, continue.
Right, and then he puts another Pultec on and does a high boost, or a low boost and a high cut. So he cuts out the lows beforehand, just compresses the highs, and then brings in the lows after, and then blends that into the original signal. And I'm telling you, try this. Like,
whoa,
it's so fucking cool for a dark mix. It literally just makes everything above, I don't know, 2K is how he does it.
So does he just, like, lightly compress the lows?
No, it's pretty crushed.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
He
He's
uses,
just doing this additionally.
Yeah, and because it's parallel processing, you can
Right.
you can either send it to a return or you can duplicate it and do that. And the idea is just to blend it into the original signal. So I'll
Okay,
send like
yeah.
80% of the original signal into this thing, and then I'll probably take the volume of this thing down 10 or 15 decibels.
Okay.
So it's sort of sitting under the original signal, but it's making the highs pop out on
Right.
top of the mix or in front of the mix, however you want to think
That's
of it
genius.
in that space. It's fucking genius.
See, that's the kind of thing that you're not going to come up with on your own.
Exactly.
Well, I guess someone did, but
Yeah, totally. And I had this thing where like, well, maybe I'll push back on that because I had this thing that I tried the other day that I thought I got from Josh Martinez, the guy who's taught me most of what I know, where I basically summed the kick and the snare from a regular acoustic drum kit, bounced that out as its own thing, put it in mono, and then crushed it with basically a distressor. And then blended that into the kit to just,
give you more kick and snare.
boost everything out of that. Yeah, and I might have accidentally left some other elements in there and then gated it really hard.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, that's what you were telling me you did in the studio, right? He's like, no, I don't know what that is. I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
Cool. You came up with something.
It's not a genius concept. It's a really easy concept that I feel like a lot of people use. So I must have read it somewhere. But I think you can...
You sometimes like come across things you wouldn't have necessarily like.
And the thing is, it's hard. Like the more you get to know, the more you start to understand like the theory. So like Andrew Sheps must have known what he was doing when he did that specific trick. It wasn't just like, I'm gonna take a guess, or it fucking was. I don't know. Einstein came up with theory of relativity when he was on a train.
The thing is, like, I think once you start to learn what your different tools do,
Yeah.
like you start to combine them in unique ways.
Yes. True.
Yeah.
Want some whiskey? Or?
Sure.
Yeah, there we go. Now it's a party. Stop me.
That's good. I'm gonna finish this first. Though.
Hey, I go back and forth, For those just listening, she's drinking a White Claw and whiskey. Very good. But yeah, I mean, wait, what were you saying there? It was interesting.
Just that when you get to know your tools, you combine them in unique ways.
Yeah, right.
Because like one thing that I did that was interesting, and I was like attached to this for a while, but when I was learning to produce, I didn't buy plugins. I like got to know my stock plugins really well.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Of course, and then I was like, and then I had this spiel that I would give where I was like, you don't need, like, if you know how to use your tools well, you don't need good tools. And I was very wrong.
Very wrong. Yeah.
Very wrong. Because then I started getting nice stuff, and I was like, oh, well, I was crippling myself.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting that you say that, because I was talking to a friend, and I was saying, like, I think the reason, like you were saying, you just relied on your ears for a while.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did, because I didn't know any other way. I didn't have any other avenue forward, so that's the one I took. And if you have good ears, it's a fucking blessing. Use them. Like, lean into them hard. You can get away with so much just having good ears, because there's people who are technically more experienced than me who will never have the ears that I have, because you can't learn those to some degree.
Right.
It's just like, everybody can learn to sing. Sure, everybody can learn to sing, but some people are tone deaf. And always will be. You can't work around that. Like, some people are short, and short people don't play in the NBA. Like, like, it's just a fact.
Really, really good short people can, maybe.
That's true.
Actually, I don't know.
I don't know, you must have some compensating, factor then. What's up there, Joshy?
Muggsy Bogues.
Famously, actually, yeah, that's a.
Like 5'10", he made the NBA.
5'10's not that short. I'm talking people who are like 5'6", 5'7".
Yo, dude, you want free booze?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have it covered, but.
Oh wow, yeah. Hurry up, drink more.
Really well, wouldn't be an episode of this podcast without an interruption from our friend Josh Loney.
I tried not to, but you called me in.
Well, I mean, you're standing there. It's every episode he comes in and out of my very professional studio, just randomly when I'm filming. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, with the ears. I was saying though that I started on a computer that. Jesus Christ.
That's my food, probably.
Oh. Oh my God. Everything at once, huh? That's kind of remarkable, actually. Is that pizza?
It is pizza. He said he was ordering greasy pizza earlier.
Domino's. Why Domino's? I mean, Domino's is good.
I just wanted something greasy and cheap and disgusting.
Well, you accomplished that, I think.
You guys want a slice?
Not right now,
I'm
but
okay, thank you.
I want to eat on camera? Why not? It seems unreasonable.
it's unbecoming. But yeah, so I started on a laptop that was bad for its time with a pirated version of Ableton 9. And
That sounds like a crashing computer all the time.
all the time. I had to be
That's so
a
frustrating.
Zen guru of patience to make anything.
You
on
must
it.
have learned a lot of patience.
I did. Yeah. And it's made me very good at working with people because some people
Or like a
suck
crashing
at-
plugin.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you're just like that note is a G. That note's a G, not a C. It's a G. Trust me. The root note is. Trust me, I know this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, what's a G? Third fret on the E string. Oh my God! Like, and you just have to be patient when you're producing people, which is a whole another thing. But you know, I started working on that. I didn't even have speakers. I had a crappy pair of headphones. I made some stuff. You make these breakthroughs when you're producing too. You produce one thing where
The
you're just like,
difference
how did I do that?
speakers make though when
Oh
you
my God.
upgrade. I was working on these tiny little 6-inch M audio monitors for the longest time.
yeah.
And then I'm so happy one of them, like the tweeters, just died.
Were they B5s? Because I had the same ones. If that's the case,
I don't remember.
I'll show them to you after. You might recognize them.
Yeah, I might. But then, I mean, my speakers aren't like top of the line, but I have like Yamaha HS8s now. And like, I mean, compared to what I used to be working on, I was just like, this is a new world.
HS8s are great.
They're not that detailed.
Yeah, they're sort of blunt force instruments.
They are. So it's weird because I think now that I've worked on them, they're not what I would have picked. When I was picking my upgrade, well, I was trying to find something affordable, of course, but
How much you get them for?
I want to say 600. That's each, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for those. I got a system I'll absolutely recommend to you.
Yeah.
It's Cali Audios.
Okay.
I have them. You can hear them after this. They're amazing. They're competitive with very expensive systems. They are less expensive than the HS8s.
Really?
Although, if you want to get the nicer versions of the ones, even nicer than the ones I have, you could probably pay the same amount for what you got for the HS8s to get them.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so the reason I picked them was I felt like some of the nicer stuff that I was looking at was like too detailed.
100%.
I was like, I feel like I'm gonna be spoiled by this,
It's
like
intimidating.
because when they're so detailed, I'm like, I don't know. My logic, it was pretty dumb. It was kind of like my not using nice plugins logic, but I was like, I feel like if my speakers sound too good, I'm gonna like not. What I make is not gonna sound good on bad speakers or something.
100%.
And I thought like the HS8s were like a good balance of like, okay, I can hear a lot, but they also like are. I don't know. I liked the way they sounded, but I don't know that I would make the same choice at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have heard a ton of music out of HS8s because they're pretty common.
They're very common.
Do you have the white ones or the black ones?
Black ones?
I like the black ones better. I mean, the white ones, they offend my taste. It's like club rap. I can't. Why would you get a white speaker? Like, and I know that's the counter answer to everybody. Everybody likes the white ones. I don't know. Fuck them. But I have. So I mean, I've heard a bunch of stuff on them. So I guess like a couple of years ago, I probably would have had a different answer. I probably would have said I love them. Same as the KRKs, the Rockets. And like, yeah, once your ear kind of develops to a certain degree, you start hearing the shortcomings and you start
Right.
wishing, what if I could hear this with more clarity? Like, wouldn't that
Right.
help? But I think you made the right choice. And this is kind of why I was saying I started on really shitty equipment. Like my first speakers were the M Audios,
Yeah.
which were very much just like throwing a sound at you. Like it was just
No bass.
like, yeah, there was bass, but it was just mud. It was just,
Yeah.
like, but if you can learn how to mix on that, then theoretically you can mix on almost anything, right?
Right.
Like, and if you're hearing it on shitty speakers and it sounds good, then people who are hearing it on better speakers should be hearing it sounding better. Not exactly the way it works, but
Right. Well,
that
that
was
was
my logic, too.
that was what I was thinking, but
Yeah.
no, like I don't know. I have a friend who is getting very good at mixing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just upgraded his speakers. I forget what they're PRPs, I want to say. No, it's some other 3-letter acronym that starts with a P.
KRK?
No.
Oh, that's not a P, is it?
But he was talking about how, like, I mean, one thing he showed me about them that was amazing was they sound the same at any volume.
Yeah.
Like, you'll notice, like, most, like, at least my speakers, they sound very different, quiet than loud.
Oh, especially those Yamahas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's interesting. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I can tell his mixes have gotten a lot better
Yeah.
since upgrading the speakers. And it's
Yeah.
just because he can hear more.
You can hear it. Well, and you
Right.
shouldn't be mixing super loud all the time or you'll get ear fatigue and
Right.
you'll just, I mean,
I'm
need...
so bad about taking air breaks.
I don't.
You
I
just
I
don't?
go for marathons. I don't give a shit. I totally should. It's the same thing as like I should reference tracks. I should, turn it down, turn it up, whatever. I'm obsessive and
My focus is just like laser beam,
Yeah.
and I forget the rest of the world exists.
Yeah.
And then I tried putting like a Post-it on my screen, like take ear breaks one time.
yeah.
I just looked past it. It didn't work.
It's not even there. Fuck it. Who left this note for me? It wasn't me. That's absolutely how I am. Well, part of that might be though because you're a writer and a composer.
Mm.
So I think that if you're a writer, there's really, I've never heard anyone in the writing world say you should take writing breaks.
That's true.
Yeah, and so if you're a writer, you're just like, the way that I make the best shit is if I just
You gotta finish
go.
it when you start.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, it won't get finished.
Right.
And especially if you're tired or you're hungry, whatever, you have to push through that, and that's why a bunch of writers have problems with this substance and cigarettes and stuff, because anything to just distract you and keep you going and just give you the mental tick, it'll help.
I will just forget I'm hungry. I will
too.
forget I have to go to the bathroom
Yep.
until it's like
Yep.
very urgent.
Yeah, until it's almost an emergency.
Like, damn it, why do I have to get out of this chair?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get annoyed that you have to get up.
Right.
Like,
It's like, body, can you not be a body right
yeah,
now?
exactly. Can I just be a mind making things? Like, yeah, that's 100%
That's
true.
a scary thought.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the world will go there one day.
It will. We're absolutely going in that
Yeah.
direction. Yeah. Well, we're at least going to be probably, in my opinion, like cyborg type things before I'm dead, before you're dead.
I don't know if I will go along with society when that happens. I
don't-
just do not want to be something you can hack.
I've never gone along with society anyway, so so I don't think there's an issue there. Like, I fight all the normal stuff anyway, so yeah.
But I agree. I think society is going to go there before we
it totally
die.
is. Yeah, it totally is. It's already there. We're already half phone as it is.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, how much of your day do you spend on screens?
So I have a really low screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you monitor it?
Under 2 hours. No, I just that's still kind of like, it's crazy that's low, but
It is crazy that that's low.
I know.
Yeah.
But like, I have friends who it's like 5-6 hours or something.
How the fuck do you have the time to do that?
I don't know.
I don't get it. That's like people who smoke a pack a day. I'm like, where?
I'm like, how? Yeah.
You can't smoke inside since the 70s. So like, what are you talking about? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, Connor does, he has, I think, a screen monitor where I think his phone blocks him out of certain apps past a certain time. Yeah. Which is a little hardcore for me. I don't really need that.
Yeah.
I don't really like Instagram or Facebook or obviously I like certain things about them.
Right.
They're addictive,
Yeah, they
like
are.
but also they're really baseless.
There's not much to gain.
There's nothing that you can gain. Oh my God, my friends went to the Grove today. Fucking sweet. Like, double tap and scroll. You know, like it's just stupid. Like, anyway, let's take a short break really quick.
Okay.
I have to use the bathroom. And then in this time, we'll play whatever song you want me to play. Your newest single is probably your best bet for you. I'd put Blind in, but I'll just direct people.
You can do
to listen
Blind
to
if you
Blind.
want.
Whatever you want me to put in. Yeah. You're not going to get a bunch of promotion from this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But it's been swell so far, so I look forward to the next one.
Cheers.
Or segment. Whatever. Anyway, we'll be back. ASTRINA. Music. Casey at Astriano. Astorino? Astorino. Okay.
Stop running for the hills. We're here in this together for the night. Tomorrow we'll be here. We know for sure the sun will always rise. Always rise. One moment is all it takes for one people to go mad. 5 oceans lie between us. No evil stops for the people. Don't stress about the bills. I promise someday things will be alright. You gotta give a little. Times are harder. Soften up. Be kind. Be kind. One moment is all it takes for one people to go mad. 5 oceans lie between us. No evil stops for the people. One moment is all it takes. 5 oceans lie between us. Stop running for the hills. We're here in this together for the night. Tomorrow we'll be here. We know for sure the sun will always
Wow, we just listened to a song. Wasn't that cool? This is all live, right? Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, anyway, what were we talking? We did a lot of talk about production,
Yes.
and I could probably pick your mind on production for ever, probably, because there's never an end. and
There's
my-
never an end.
My mixes are never done. Like, do you do that when you do mixes? Do you do like 1.0, 1.1, 1.1? Version B, like, do you do all that crap?
I just label my stuff by date.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then version after that if I have different versions in that day.
How many versions do you usually have until you're like
In a
happy?
mix or in like a
Yeah, in a mix.
or-
Let's not say like writing the song or producing or whatever.
okay, yeah, because that's gonna be
That's
like
different. Yeah.
a lot more. A mix probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I probably average around the same.
Yeah.
I did an album for Jasmine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't. But I did an album for her where that was like my first album that I did for someone else. Mm-hmm. And that was like a disturbing amount of versions. Yeah. Like, well, because you listen to them on different speakers, you know? You come back on like, you know, the car, then you listen to them on some shitty earbuds, then you listen to them on good headphones, then nice speakers, then bad speakers, like, and the different systems, you know,
show you different things.
And I swear to God, it's like what your blood sugar level is and what phase of the moon is. Like, you know, yesterday the kick sounded amazing. Today it just sounds. I have this one song. I keep talking about the kick. I have this one song where I just can't get the kick to sit right. Oof. I just can't. Like,
yeah.
And other people have told me it's great. She's angry. That's the cat. For those of you who can't see it.
She wants to be heard.
She needs to be heard. Yeah, she will be heard. But yeah, you know, people are like, it sounds fine, and there's something wrong to me. And like, I swear to God, some days I'm like, it's amazing, it's great, perfect. Let's send it to the mastering guy. Okay, never mind. Wake up the next day. It's awful. Like the ups and downs of this. So do you, I mean, here's something interesting because I always like, I got into music personally because I like writing it. Mm-hmm. I always sort of similar to you when I was a kid, just wouldn't have called it writing, but sort of what I naturally did.
Right.
You know, organizing sounds, you know, I mean, and then I learned that there's a thing called songwriting.
Yeah.
And that's why I ever learned how to play guitar. I never looked at great guitarists and was like, I want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Guitar was just an instrument in my genre that made sense for me to write on.
It's a tool.
Yes. And it's easier than piano for me. And even though everyone says piano makes more sense, I can't fucking play it. I can like play really basic stuff, but I never put the time in. And then eventually I like try to get better at guitar because I'm supposed to be better at it to play rock and roll, whatever. But so I got into music for like the compositional element. And now I'm finding I did not think I would like production this much or mixing or whatever.
It seems like you love it.
I really like it.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle. It's just
is.
That's all it is. So like aspirationally, what are you going for? Are you finding that you really like it and you want to dive in? Are you diving in because you should know it and be better at it? You know, I mean, what are you going for there?
So I feel like I make a lot less choices than the average person. I just kind of follow the path the world puts in front of me.
That's great.
So yeah, I got into music. Yeah, production just kind of started happening, and I love it. But it's interesting because studying music, like studying harmony, and counterpoint and all that, I despised it because like writing for me, like I said, it's meditative. It's like something I feel. I don't want to think about it. I just want to do it. So making that technical.
She will make this a problem.
She wants to know about harmony.
Yeah. She's very interested in point counterpoint, apparently.
But yeah, that very much got in my way. I didn't like it. But then I discovered production and I was like, ooh, this is a way to make music technical in a way I like it. I don't know why it doesn't bother me as much to like be technical about production. And I think that's because I always write the song first. So I get out what I need to get out and then I bring it to the computer.
So with Between the Mirror, for instance, did you write those on like a piano or an acoustic guitar and then you brought them in and screwed with the arrangements?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So usually the way I start production, well, the way I used to, I would start with the instrument I wrote it on and then by the end that instrument's gone.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say there's not much analog sound happening on that album, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I like kind of build around it and then it disappears.
Yeah.
Lately, I always start with percussion once I go to the computer. I love starting with bass and percussion.
Exactly what I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's the anchor of the whole song. I don't know.
Trey will argue this with you. He hates doing percussion, which I'm okay with because now I'm doing some percussion stuff for him.
Oh, yeah?
It's super fun.
Oh, that's great. I want to hear it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of Trey, I think I met him and you at the same time.
Probably.
Because I think I met you.
We met at this party that we both played.
The Ashes of Luna thing. Yeah, with Brandon and Lauren. And I talked about this with Trey on the podcast, and since I'm like, dude, the first time I met you, that guy was a mess, man. He came in, he hadn't slept for a while. He was involved in too much, like, and he was taking it hard, you know, and probably drinking too much. And hey, you know, I got you, man. I do that too. Like, and I've gone through phases that are not good, but I remember that. And he was telling me like what he was involved in. He was involved in like
10 bands.
So many different projects.
Right.
And like the last time I was involved in that, I got fucking shingles in my eye. That's where the scar in the middle of my face comes from. Like,
ouch.
It was bad. Because stress
does weird things.
Lower your immune system, and
Right.
it does weird things. It's the best way to put it. And that was, she's gonna make it a point. Yeah. Faye, no, nothing. Psst, psst, psst. Wow.
She heard you. She
Wow.
just did not
Yeah,
let
you
her
saw the
slide.
ears. Yeah. That's amazing. He's like, no, I think I'm going to be a little stinker over here real quick. She'll probably come sit on your lap at some point. Well, we'll see. But yeah, I think I met both of you at the same time. At that time, you were doing, that was when you were still Daria Black, as I knew you. You were doing sort of not necessarily an electronically inspired rock thing, but it definitely sounded more rock than...
So, yeah, I've always, basically, I pretty much do the full arrangement, and Trey does come up with his guitar parts.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of, I mean, we edit them together, but Haley just plays the live show, but Trey does come up with his guitar parts on it. But other than that, it's all like in the box. Some of it has a live drummer. And when I do that, I have sessions with this guy, Jake Reed, who's amazing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ever really like a band. I just had a band that I played live with.
Right. Yeah.
And that was because I really was attached to not using tracks.
I like that attachment.
Yeah,
But you got over that.
I got over it.
Shame to see him go.
It's just then I had two different sounds. I had the live show
hate that you're leaving, but love to watch you go, or whatever it is. Yeah, whatever the fucking saying is. Yeah.
sounds about right.
Yeah. I still fucking hate tracks.
I know.
Now I'm at a point where I can tolerate it and even appreciate it in some applications, but it is very hard for me to get behind that trend.
Well, yeah. So originally I was like, never doing tracks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a band do it.
Purist.
And I loved it. It was fun.
You got
it was
pay
great.
him, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was difficult.
Yeah.
Then like this other guy got involved with the project, and that was a mess. And he had this whole he helped me redesign the live show in this really ridiculous way. That was way too complicated. That involved tracks, but it was a mess. I don't regrets 2018.
Yeah.
So then I went back to the purist thing, and it was just band. And we have a new iteration now that we just played our first show as, and it works really well.
Where'd you play?
And we played in the middle of the desert.
You were talking to me about that.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Super fun.
That's fucking awesome.
But now we're running tracks off of my SPD, and what I'm okay with is the way I made the live track. We don't need a metronome.
Oh, that's how?
Because we're not working with a drummer.
So is it just triggers? Or?
So yeah, it's the track is being triggered by the SPD, and the drums are just going throughout.
Okay.
So we're just listening to the drums.
Oh, so the drums are taking the place of the metronome.
Exactly.
Sort of, yeah. Okay.
So it's just I hate having a click in my ear.
I was gonna say, so do you have to have in-ears for this, or could you rely on monitors for that?
We could rely on monitors, but we need in-ears because I'm the softest spoken person ever, and it's the same with my singing.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we started, I was saying this is going to be a fun contrast.
turn
I'm a
up the
very
mic.
loud person versus a very soft-spoken person.
If we don't use in-ears, it's a feedback disaster.
Probably. Yeah.
And I am very protective of my ears. I'm that person wearing earplugs at every show, so I'd rather use them
Well, you come from a classical background. You care about your body more than most fucking rock and rollers and pop stars do. Yeah. I'm more of a wreck it while you got it kind of guy.
Which, cheers to that, I get it too.
not a sustainable attitude. You know, I've become much more protective of my ears. Actually, at that jazz show that we didn't illegally go to the other day, I was made
That was
fun of.
amazing.
That was great.
You were
wasn't
made fun of for what?
for wearing earplugs.
Oh, I have sneaky earplugs now.
I know mine weren't sneaky at all. I have the strings and I have the eargasms. I don't know if you've heard of those. They're a good company. I mean,
Okay.
they actually have these earplugs where there's a switch to attenuate how many decibels you're taking
Oh,
off.
that's very cool.
Great. So I had them on the lower setting because it was a fusion show.
Right.
You know what I mean, it's not super loud. But yeah, my buddy was like, "Really, Ben Forg wearing earplugs?" I'm like,
It's like, yes.
Yeah.
I care about my life. that
Every-
is my job.
every live show I go to, I'm wearing earplugs. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but if I'm not playing, I'm wearing them and making fun of people who wear them also. So, you know. So I did ask for that. Yeah. But fun fact about me, I have a fake eardrum and 2 fake bones in this year.
Whoa,
Yeah.
a fake eardrum.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was in like 7th grade.
Like a cochlear implant?
Not a cochlear implant. My dad has 2 of those, though. How
Wow.
crazy is that? Yeah. So I just have these congenital problems with my ears, which is
Okay.
so. Talking of Beethoven, like that's a reality that might happen for me.
Oh,
So it's just like,
wow.
oh shit, you know. But with technology,
You'll
cochlear
be
implants use vibrations from your skull, so
Yeah.
you're not even relying on the actual, biological wiring. But which is awesome.
It is
it's
awesome.
So awesome. Like, if I do have hearing loss at some point, even if I'm not deaf, I might just get some work done just to like,
Just to know what that's like.
oh my God, I can hear what I used to be able to hear again. Like,
Right,
Why would
right.
I need to suffer from this, unless I'm poor, which I most likely will be. So maybe I won't be getting it anyway. I had a condition called cholesteatoma where some pressure built up on the inside of my ear, which pulled the eardrum and made a hole in it.
Oof.
So it ruptured it. Yeah.
How?
Yeah, it didn't feel great, and I had to get it replaced. So they either took,
I didn't know you could replace eardrums.
yeah. So you can do it with like an artificial substance like silicone or something, or
Okay.
they took like some skin from my ass or something like that. Like, so I'm a butthead, literally, I guess. Like, and then for these bones. You can replace these bones with synthetic stuff. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they put in for my ear.
Okay.
But at a certain point, I was like, I understood what you understand, which is, nah, I'm not
I'd rather be made fun of.
I'm not fucking with this. Yeah, I don't give a shit
Right.
if you make fun of me.
Right.
You know, I really don't. I go to enough live shows and they're all so loud and the sound engineers all suck, so everything sounds like ass and it hurts. And like, that next day when the tinnitus,
ringing.
yeah, it's just
I know.
horrible. Like,
I used to, like, my ears have gotten less sensitive. It used
Yeah.
to literally hurt to go to live shows. I had very sensitive ears.
oh yeah, it's because they're being damaged.
Yeah.
It's because you can't hear what you used to be able to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're only in your 20s.
I know.
Yeah.
But I do wear earplugs every time.
Yeah, I do
So-
too. Well, and the thing is about like high fidelity earplugs, they reduce the frequency spectrum relatively evenly,
Yeah.
or they try to, so you can still enjoy the show.
Right. It's
without-
so much better than those like foam things.
I can't stand those.
No.
I'll take them if I have to use them, but I can't stand them. Actually, I have. I think my keychain is elsewhere, but
I will use them if I'm in like an EDM area because I don't care what I hear anyway.
oh yeah, who gives it? I feel the bass vibrations,
That's
man.
all this is about.
Whatever. Okay, like I took some Molly and I'm having a good time. Who cares? Like, but yeah, I
Other
have.
than that, I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. But I have this so my earplugs come on a case that's attached to my keychain, so I just always have them, which is fantastic because
Mine are in my purse.
yeah, that's we need to normalize men being able to carry around purses because purses seem really convenient.
If we do that, then we have to normalize the general they, stopping making pants without pockets for women.
They do that?
Like, these are ridiculous. They have zippers and no pockets. They're just a zipper to
literally
nothing.
just for show.
It's literally, this is so often. So many of my pants have these fake pockets. I'm like, what is this madness?
Oh my god. See,
I don't
told
understand. Hello.
you. Yeah. Oh, you're so coy, Kat. No one notices you. You're so sneaky. She's... This cat is trying to sneak up on Casey. And it's probably going to work because she's pretty cool, but, like, not sneaky at all. Just so clumsy. I agree with normalizing not making pants without pockets for women. That is tragic.
It really is.
Although so many women wear such tight pants, what could you really put in those pockets anyway?
Phones.
Yeah, phones are so big, though.
I know,
now.
you can't. I don't know. You can squeeze a key in there.
A house key, you know, just in case. A backup key for my car. Like...
I mean, I think that's why they got rid of them. They're like, well, this thing doesn't hold anything. I don't know.
Honestly, that's probably true, yeah.
But I'd still rather have the thing that holds, like, almost nothing than literally nothing.
Yeah, I can get behind that. So what were the musicians who, like, did you grow up listening to classical? Is that why you went to school for composition?
So even when I was a kid, I, like, made music more than listening to it.
Right.
Like, I would go home from school and, I mean, my parents were insane. I was in, like, 3 sports at a time. So after my 2 sports practices and getting my homework done, I would just sit at the piano for hours.
Same here. You're starting to freak me out. Yeah, yeah. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I was a great athlete. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played. I mean, people love this game because you can come up with sports I haven't played, but, like, almost all the traditional sports, I played them.
Yeah, same here.
Cool. No, I don't often meet other musician athletes.
You, I don't know, say something to the PSA for the people. No,
Um,
go this way.
PSA for the people is I would love to have a cat, but the inconveniences prevent me from doing so.
What's preventing you from doing so?
Well, actually, the main thing preventing me from having a cat is I don't know where I'd put the kitty litter in my house.
Oh, you just gotta just smell it.
You just gotta smell.
It's
Well,
gross.
the thing is, like, I put it in my room, but I'm in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
And then does the cat have to stay in my room because I keep my door closed? And then that's sad because it's
Yeah.
just one room.
Can't have the cat.
And my roommates don't want it in the communal area.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you live at? What part of town?
So, I live right on La Brea and the 10, so really close to here.
Oh, you're super
So
close.
close.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna come invade your studio at some point.
You should.
Like, yeah, totally. But fuck, what was it? Oh, yeah. So, okay, so here's something interesting then. Oh, you were saying musician athletes, right?
Yes.
Yes, I was
Rare.
absolutely a very good athlete when I was younger.
Nice.
Yeah. What did you play? Just all the traditional ones?
All the traditional ones, the ones that stuck with me longer. Well, so basketball, tennis, soccer, and then horseback riding, which is not traditional.
Oh, you're a horse girl.
I was a horse girl.
I knew you were insane.
Yeah, I was horseback riding all the way through college. I was on my college
Horse girls are
team.
the strangest fucking people.
I'm strange.
Yeah, that's Jess too. You gotta talk to her,
Really?
but yes, absolutely.
Oh my God, that
she
makes
still
me
has a
happy.
horse out in Norco.
What?
Yep. He's pretty too. He's dumb as nails, but he's pretty. he's getting better. He's 3 years old, I think.
Okay. Aw,
Um,
baby.
Yeah, and he's a big boy. Just stubborn and a pain in the ass, and just pretty much everything you would want out of one of them. He's lovely. He really is. When he's nice, he's very nice. You know, he comes every time I'm out at the stable out there. He'd come up and just, you know, get whatever article of clothing I'm wearing very dirty. Just
That's what happens.
doing this, you know. All right, bro.
You
know?
leave covered in dirt and smelling like horse shit.
Holy shit, she smells so bad when she comes back. His name is Wiley. He's a good boy. Yeah. But anyway, that somehow does not shock me at all.
It kind of makes sense.
It sort of does. I mean that as a compliment. Other people might not, but I do. Yeah. Okay. So athleticism, blah blah blah. Okay. So I wonder how you feel about this. I kind of maybe similar to you. I didn't necessarily hear music to know that I wanted to make it. Even before I knew that I wanted to make it, I just was obsessed with sounds. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
I have a funny story.
Yeah.
So I started taking piano lessons when I was 2.
That's awesome.
And the reason it happened, because mostly teachers will be like, I'm not teaching a 2-year-old. I thought it was 4 until my dad put together this college graduation video that had like all my like musical recitals over the time, and I was 2 and I was playing the piano like this.
I was gonna ask, how does a 2-year-old
do
play
it?
piano?
Like
yeah.
this.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a recognizable melody that apparently I had memorized, but it wasn't like I was. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was poking the keys.
That's still how I play piano, so it's bad. Yeah, you should see it.
Well, I probably play guitar the way you play piano.
Maybe. I hope not.
But so my brother, who's 3 years older, he had just started taking lessons, and my mom would take us to the teacher's house, and I would play with her son, and they had like this toy room, and I found a violin in the toy room, and I guess I was 2, and I started playing it, and it was like beautiful music erupted, and I was
Really?
like, oh my god, I'm a prodigy. And I walked downstairs, and I'm like, Mom, you have to see what I can do. I remember this. And she starts laughing at me, and I'm like,
God.
how is this funny? It was literally a toy, and I like was too young to recognize it was a toy, but it had this little like button where if you pressed the bow
you weren't
down to
actually
it,
playing the violin.
I was not actually playing the violin. But I was like, oh my god, I have to play music.
I was gonna say,
this.
if I'm sitting across this table from some motherfucker who at 2 years
Just
old
could magically
picked up the
play
violin and played it, we're not in the same league. Like, I thought I knew, but I don't. That's pretty good.
No, so I do remember that, and I remember the sheer disappointment when my mom laughed. I was like, this is amazing.
Oh my god. But you were that obsessed with sound when you heard
Yes.
it. Yeah.
So then because of that, the teacher agreed to give me lessons, even though I was 2 and like could do this with my hands.
Yeah, but I mean, you must be phenomenal at piano.
I was
You're out of practice?
very good at piano. I never play anymore.
Really?
I'm still like decent. I was amazing.
How long has it been since you played?
Like
Consistently.
probably college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so drums were my first instrument, if you don't count trombone, which
I count trombone.
I count trombone. It is an instrument. It was like,
It's hard. I can't play wind instruments.
it was the dumbest, brass.
brass.
But it was the dumbest instrument available. That's why
But like, how do you do that with your lips?
with the little
Like the-
mouthpiece.
No, because brass specifically, you have to like. I literally could never
It's a
physically do it. Exactly.
make a fart noise into the thing. Like,
and somehow make it sound beautiful.
it is a really pretty. I love the instrument. I saw a guy play a sousaphone the other day.
Ooh.
That is the dumbest instrument out there. I thought trombone was. That's a dumb instrument. I loved it. It was actually at that jazz show the week before you went.
Okay.
He got up there and started playing the sousaphone, and it was just like, nah. Is
So
he about to
silly.
do it? Just this big, dumb, stupid sound. And he made a couple of. I don't know how you feel about musical humor, but I think music can crack you up.
Oh, it can be so silly.
So funny though. Like, it has made me laugh. Are you a Zappa fan? I don't know.
Not particularly,
All right.
but
Do you dislike him or do you
no,
just not
I
really
just
know him?
Don't really know him.
Okay, yeah. Given your taste, I'd be really interested to see what you think of him. Maybe I'll share some stuff after.
Sure.
But he's kind of well known. He's like Weird Al heard his stuff and was like, "What if I just did the jokey stuff overall?" Like,
Yeah.
and there's just certain musical things that you can do. Like if you play the B string and G string on a guitar 3 frets away from each other, you just get this really silly, just like it's exactly 1/2 step away from each other, you know? Awful, just disgusting sound. Like,
See, when I studied classical music, the whole 21st century era is just like, how bad can we make music
because
sound?
Stravinsky's a guy and blah 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 blah. You know, like, yes, absolutely.
So I like got so pretentious
Yeah.
and was like, this is not music.
Yes, Yeah.
Like, I decided music was only what I liked for a little while.
Yeah,
And I did
yeah.
not like things that sound bad, but now I can appreciate musical humor.
Yeah.
But for a while, it was just like such a turnoff because I was like, I have to spend all the hours of all my days listening to music I don't even like.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. That would definitely. Do you know Andrew Bird?
Yes.
He's a violinist and a whistler. You would probably.
I don't think I like his music.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the wrong person? Because the person I'm thinking of is like weird ass string style stuff.
No, probably not. He
Okay.
does a lot of plucking on the violin.
Okay, I'm not thinking of the same person.
Yeah, and he's also a really beautiful violin player and a great songwriter. I'd be kind of shocked if you didn't like some of his better stuff,
Okay.
at least. But I bring him up because he went to Juilliard.
Okay.
And studied composition, and I don't know if he completed his. I think he did, but he said that while knowing theory is great and everything, it sort of sucks the life out of music for him.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because coming from my perspective, where I just don't know anything about theory, I had to teach myself whatever I do know, and I still wish I knew more because when I want to communicate with musicians, especially in sessions,
great for being able to communicate.
the language is so
Yeah.
efficient, and stupid at certain points, but really efficient in the right ways. He was saying though that when it came to writing songs and stuff like that, it really it just sucked the joy out of it.
Oh yeah, well because you start to know oh my god, that progression is cheesy or whatever.
Yes.
I never would have thought about that.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, you just know what you're doing,
Yeah.
and it takes away the magic.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Well, I wonder from your perspective because it's absolutely something that I kind of don't understand because I come at it from the opposite way. I've taught myself I know some different modes now. I know some intervals. I know how thirds and fifths work, but blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, really basic shit. And it does help me communicate when I'm producing somebody else what I need for them to do.
Right.
But I kind of always, it's okay, the more rules you know, the more rules you can break, kind of.
That's what they always say.
Yeah. But they never do it. And that's the problem with the academic study. You ever meet people from Berkeley who went to Berkeley?
Yeah.
Yeah. They all sound the fucking same.
Interesting.
They all sound exactly the same. And I suppose it might be because it's a mill for money, and whatever, the academic system, blah, blah, blah. Not trying to get into politics about it. But the way they teach them, they have these pretenses where it's maybe it's similar to what you experienced with musical humor. They have an aversion to certain sounds and certain types of music, which is really weird to me.
So at USC, the culture was, it's weird. You had to know the rules really well, but for composition, you had to break them all.
Yeah.
It was the rule was don't follow any of the rules. And the most discouraging thing one of my professors ever told me, because I loved writing, I wanted my music to sound beautiful. And I'd come into class with my music and he's like, your music doesn't always have to be pretty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not really the point, but I kind of like that it's pretty. You just insulted it.
I like pretty music.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
It was very sad. And then I started trying to fit in as a composer, and then I just stopped liking music. And honestly, I was going to give up on music until I went to, and also I was sitting in these concert halls and everyone just claps politely. You're at a golf course, and it's music I'm not even liking because it's contemporary 21st century stuff. And then I went to my first music festival, which was Coachella, and I was like, oh my god.
Fuck yeah. What year was that? Did you go during a good year?
It must have been 2013.
Oh shit, yeah. That was when they actually had some good artists there.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just oh, people respond to music.
Yes.
I don't know. Suddenly it just all made sense, and I was like, okay, I don't need to give up on music.
Yeah.
I just need to change the world. Not this concert hall's world.
Just a subtle, I just got to change the world. No big thing. Don't worry about it.
No, I mean like change the
Just
world I'm in.
change the world. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I kid. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't, one thing that I do really want to do before I die, and probably, and I don't have a bucket list or anything. That's a weird way to do life to me. But definitely like more towards my older age, I want to compose a symphony, and I don't want it to be, like, it doesn't have to be conventional, One thing I've learned is like, you should know the rules,
Yeah. Well, the thing about symphonies is there's so many rules you wouldn't even think about. Like, you have to learn the rules of every instrument.
Well, exactly. It's like, what's the actual range of a clarinet?
Right.
Because,
and what intervals is it possible to play on a violin?
Yes.
Like,
yes, exactly. And it's really, really hard. And so I want to try to get to know the rules enough that I can break some of them, do something kind of unconventional, but also
that's a worthy goal.
it's lofty. I mean, it is, and I don't think I would be able to do it. I wouldn't have time to learn any of that until I'm a little bit older.
See, I once knew how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it now. I mean, I would have to relearn it.
Yes, you could. It would take me a decade to learn the rules. It would take you a couple months to relearn.
Yeah.
Were you good in school?
Dedicated couple. I was very good at school.
Yeah, you seem like you were. You do. What was your GPA when you graduated?
Almost 3.9.
Nerd. Guess what though? Mine was too.
Yeah?
Yeah, weirdly enough.
I can see that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, because most people can't, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, well, there's something. Look, I've always appreciated.
Well, you seem like you know how to think.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought once or twice.
No, but like, most people don't know how to think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Yeah. So I am very flattered by that.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
I don't say that to many people.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't say thank you, and I'm not kidding to many people either. so yeah, I very much appreciate that. And look, the thing is, to me, I've always appreciated the rigor behind academics and some of where the value is. I think, again, I don't want to get too far into this, but I think the institutions have become kind of corrupted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
With you there.
Yeah. And, in certain ways where it's a shame, because I think there's a place in the world for it. And I think that's all I'm going to say on it. Because
I get it.
anything else is going to go down a weird path. But,
yes.
But for me, like, I was able to be good at it, but I was always kind of somehow pulling these grades while skipping classes and, being the flippant sort of idiot, But still, once I show up, I'm immediately able to do it, To me, the environment was a little bit stifling, I guess, like intellectually and creatively. So I decided not to go on to it. As I was leaving, I was starting to look at graduate school for a couple different programs. So that was one route. Music was more interesting. And
so what did you study?
I did a science degree in psychology and then a minor in philosophy, which at my school it amounts to sort of cognitive neuroscience, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I had to do the chemistry and biology and blah, blah, blah. And then I also had to do all the philosophical stuff. So it would have set me up for a really, really great, honestly, graduate program.
Yeah.
But I always just, I don't know. I wanted to know the broad questions. I figured you'll narrow it down, and it's funny because now, like I was arguing with, I was discussing with some friends the other day. I might have been arguing. They were discussing, or the other way around. I don't know. I was talking about it with them. We were talking about God or something. Some stupid, lofty question, And then I think one of them said, yeah, but like, how do we know that we can even know anything at all? And I'm like, who cares? Like,
right. That's when philosophy just gets to a point where it's like, well,
smelling its own farts.
Right.
That's all it's doing. Like,
It's like, okay, congratulations.
Whoa, man. Yeah, you're the first person to think that deeply about things. Like, and that's exactly where I
Create
got.
a premise where you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Well
It's,
done.
where do we go from here? You know? Oh my God, what if we're all just a figment of someone else's imagination? Does it matter to where we are right now? No, it doesn't change anything. We still are where we are, and we have to deal with it. Whatever. Knowing the nature of reality is great and everything. We can get to the moon. But, like, how do we know that we can know anything? I don't know, man. Because
I would actually argue you can use logic to figure out the nature of reality. It's hard.
You absolutely can.
Yes.
I am absolutely on your page. I've written many papers about it.
Okay.
That's why I'm annoyed with it. It's
Yes.
like, have you really not solved this question for yourself yet? Like, I understand there's contingencies and there's alternative ways of thinking where...
It's like, okay, congratulations, you figured out some of the issues that make this question difficult.
Yes, exactly.
Now answer it.
Yes, that's exactly how I would describe it. Oh my God, yeah. Boils my fucking blood. Yeah. Like, ooh, what about free will, man? I don't know, man. What about free will? What do you think? Like.
That can be a very frustrating conversation.
Does it matter is ultimately the question that I end up asking, because it's like, dude, I don't know if we have free will or not, but you have to act like you
as though you do.
Because if you don't, then you just, you remove yourself of responsibility for every action that you take? Fuck that. That's a disgusting way for people to live, you know?
Well, it's inverting your perspective, because you have free will if you're living in the present.
Yeah.
But once you realize, yes, everything is theoretically determined, but if you decide to live from the point of the future, because it's only in the future that everything is determined, then you're literally not here, and then you're a useless lump.
Yep, exactly. Well, what's the point of doing anything?
Yes.
Oh, cool, nihilism, man. Did you stumble across that one? I was 20 once too, you know? Like, whoa, man, you're blowing my mind. Like, yeah, exactly. Well, actually, I suppose I could tie that into music somehow, which is perhaps this way. So I think that there are, again, I think the way that they teach classical music and the way that they teach composition and all that stuff is unfortunate in some ways, beneficial in other ways. And granted, I didn't go through the program. I just know a bunch of people who have. So that's really where I'm gathering that information. But would you say that there are... Here's two interesting questions. Are there objective standards to what constitutes good art, especially as applies to music, but you can apply it more broadly if you'd like? And is the degradation of those standards contributing to a lot of the bad art we're experiencing now?
Interesting.
You'd have to accept another premise to get to that second question, but
So I've thought a lot about what is art.
Yeah.
And I used to be...
Did you know if you put an F in front of it, you get fart?
And there you have your answer.
Yeah, we go from
We are
philosophical
done.
discussions to fart jokes. Hey.
I mean, yeah, so I used to be very exclusive with that definition, and I was like, art is only art if I like it. I mean, it was essentially the emotion behind me feeling the need to be like, art is this one thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can try to say, what I was trying to describe was what is good art to me.
Yeah.
Because I've decided that what art is once you put the label of art on something, that's when it becomes art in the modern world. Because I could have tried to argue, like, okay, you just put a chair in front of me in a museum. It's not art. It's a chair. And it's like, well, now it is because they called it art and it's in a museum.
Yeah, and why is it there? So Frank Zappa's definition is art is whatever you can get away with.
There we go.
Kind of cool, right?
Very cool. Yeah, so I agree with that.
Yeah.
Good art, in my opinion, transcends you. So, yeah, that's what I value in art. So am I, if someone put a chair in front of me and somehow it made me, I don't know. I could imagine someone could create potentially a chair that would make me feel transcended, but it would be pretty hard.
I don't know if you've ever sat in those chairs where you can like pay $5 at the airport and they massage you. That's potentially
one.
art. That makes
That
me
could
feel
be
some
art.
kind of way.
That is potentially art. I
Yeah.
would agree. No, but it's good art to me makes me like it is proof that there is more to the world than meets the eye. That there's more to like it takes the sense, because every art is playing with a certain sense. Music is playing with sound, painting is playing with visuals, etc. But good art will take you beyond that sense.
I agree.
Into something else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So that's what I would say good art does. I think the fact that the world has decided anything can be art, which fine, I get it, sure. You've changed it, but it means there's plenty of room to make art that doesn't do that. And in my opinion, that's bad art, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, so I probably agree with that. So are you saying that just because something isn't good art doesn't mean it's not art? And also, how deep you want to go? You believe in God? Because it sounds like you might.
Not in the traditional sense,
Yeah, me
because I
neither.
think the word God comes with a lot of context that I don't necessarily mean when I use that word. But do I believe in... I believe in...
Rules and standards? God damn it, yes!
No, I just believe in universal consciousness.
Yes. Okay. So I was on the. Are you really gonna sit there and eat that right now? Oh, really? God damn it! I need to get a better studio. I was on the. This might be a roundabout way to tie it back into what you were saying. But I was on the new atheist train for a long time, especially when I started studying.
I was raised atheist.
Yeah, raised atheist.
Raised atheist.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Your parents are atheists?
My parents are 100% atheist. I'm the most spiritual person in my family.
Huh, that's super interesting. What do your parents do, if you don't mind?
They're doctors.
Oh, they're for sure atheists.
Yes. And my brother went to MIT and is building. They think I'm weird.
Jesus. Well, you are, but it's not a bad thing. I would never say that's a bad thing. That's a hell of a background. Yeah, I came from my parents are casual Catholic, I guess. Just not really. They're middle class, blue collar sort of Midwest. Very very quintessentially American.
Okay.
I decided that I was atheist at a pretty young age because I couldn't find any convincing argument for God. I spent a lot of time trying to answer that question when I was really young for I don't know why.
Same here.
Yeah, just one of those things, you're wondering about the nature of the universe. And so I would say like a universal consciousness, I could, one thing I kind of learned is that I didn't like the word God.
Yeah.
I still kind of don't.
It personifies it,
Yeah.
which kind of takes away the point.
Yeah, it just puts it. Yeah, it personifies it, but it has all these societal connotations,
Right.
that mean something different to like everybody.
Right. It's a very convoluted word.
It's so convoluted.
It's everyone's brain has like associations pre-existing with that word.
Yeah.
That are very different to every single person.
Yeah.
And then you try to use that word and you're like, we haven't even established a common base here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't just throw it around without qualifying it.
Right.
And so for me, like I just go, okay, as a poetic concept or as a placeholder for whatever that thing is that is sort of the organizing principle of reality or the universe or what, blah, 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 blah. I do believe in something like that.
Yeah.
And therefore, and this is actually going back to like the papers I had to write in favor of like moral absolutism, for instance, because I don't think morals are relative. I'm sorry that you do things differently in your country, but
No, I would agree with you.
telling women to cover their heads is fucked up. For instance, and I don't want to get into politics. I thought that would be a relatively innocuous example.
There's no such thing as innocuous examples anymore.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think I agree with you. But so you can't just have random fucking standards. Okay, there are things that are better for people and worse.
You
for
can
people.
define morality.
Yeah, I mean, you can try.
It's difficult.
yeah.
It can be done.
I spent a while doing it. Yes. Did you say you can or you can't?
You can.
Okay, I heard can't.
No.
Okay, I was like, that's shocking considering everything you just said.
No,
okay,
definitely
yes,
can.
I agree, you can.
Okay.
And therefore you can define rules of reality, and you can define what's good and bad, because ethics is the thing that deals with good and bad, granted in a moral sense, but
yes, I do not agree that is a matter of perspective.
it's not. The study of values is something that actually has objective applications. Even though there are subjective experiences of it, that doesn't mean that those subjective, like, you ever hear people
Music
say,
to my ears, speaking
Yes.
of art.
Yes, yeah. Well, how can you know if the art that you're making is good or bad if there aren't values that transcend you?
Well, if you don't have values, then yeah, I guess good or bad is meaningless.
And that's what I mean, is like, I started to say that I believe in God, I guess, with the I guess there, because...
Because what do you mean by that?
Well, yeah, exactly. What do you mean by that? And also, if you just mean the thing that's above me, that like there's things you would die for, right? Like there's things I would die for. I'd die for the people I love. I'd die for my family, whatever. I'd probably die for some of the music I make, although it might be a stupid decision. Like the things that I value.
Yeah.
Why do I value those things? Because there's a value system beyond me that is worth living for. Otherwise, why are we here? Really? Is it just to fucking make kids?
For some people.
Jesus Christ. I mean, all right, hey, materialism's sweet, I guess. I just don't understand where you're deriving value. How do you decide that someone's beautiful, or an object is beautiful, or a piece of music is beautiful, or a piece of art in specific, or piece of art more generally, piece of music more specifically? How do you decide that one of those is good if there aren't values that are outside of that thing, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, spent too much time thinking about it. And too much time drinking and shouting my lungs out.
Well, I'm glad you think about it.
Yeah.
It comes back to I got the sense you know how to think.
Yeah, well, thinking. Thinking. Ugh. I spend plenty of time trying to run away from it, that's for sure. And I can't. There is no running away from it, so you better just deal with it. Do you think some people are just born not wanting to think about that kind of shit? Or do they just run away from it? Or are they just stupid? Yeah, so you think they're stupid. You don't like being mean, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah. But you kind of are in some ways, because you agree with me that there are certain standards. So if something's bad, that's your
It's
initial
just bad.
reaction. Yeah. And how can you not say it? Like, that's my problem, you know.
You asked many questions, and I don't know which one to answer now.
Whichever one you want.
Ooh,
The one that makes you least comfortable to answer.
see, the drinks are starting to hit me.
Yeah,
So I'm like, what were the questions?
That's the idea of the podcast. Do you think people are just like, why don't more people think? Like you say,
Why don't more people think?
You said to me, "Oh, you like know how to think." I don't say that to many people.
Yes.
Why? It's not that you're
Well,
wrong.
most people are not trained to ask why, for starters.
How could you? What do you have to be trained by?
Well, you don't necessarily have to be trained. I think some people have the instinct to ask why.
That's what I mean.
I think most people are trained not to ask why, which our whole school system is very much like, this is the correct answer, and we will tell you this, and you get this grade for saying this, and
That's politics.
so we won't go down that route. But
I'm happy to. I agree.
yeah, and we are educated in a way that makes you very susceptible to brainwashing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
And we are also exposed now to so much information that people have gotten more caught up with the what than the why. And there's too much to try to keep track of to even start to wonder, well, why am I keeping track of it?
What's the what versus the why thing?
So, I mean, like, what do I even mean by that?
think I agree. I just am not sure.
Just like there's so much access to information now. And people feel the need to access all of it.
Yeah.
People don't decide, okay, what's valuable to me? I will access that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I want to know what person X is talking about when they're talking to me so I'm not embarrassed. Or like, I want to know, they just want to consume all the information without without consciously filtering. What are you actually interested in?
Yeah.
Why are you interested in it?
Yeah.
It's just like a need to keep up or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, you just want to know the thing. You don't want to know, like, why the thing happened, how it happened, what kind of context it's placed in. You just want to make sure that, like, if you bring up, hey, did you see the new season of whatever?
You're not embarrassed.
I'm not feeling like shit about myself.
See, unfortunately, I've just decided I'd rather feel embarrassed at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because,
Me too. Well, that's, yeah.
like, to find out what actually happened at this point takes so much digging. And then I'm like, why am I doing this digging?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh, and that's probably why you don't like talking about politics.
That's why I don't like talking about politics. I don't know what the truth is anymore.
Backstory. Before this, she was like, yeah, I don't really like talking about politics. You're perfectly happy to talk about philosophy and art. That's interesting.
I can talk about the philosophy of politics. Just don't get into the specifics.
Oh, God. Let's talk about semantics for a second. I joke. Well, modern politics, that's the thing that you want to stay away from, right?
Yes.
Do you feel pressured as an artist creating things now to stay away from certain topics, like lyrically? Because you don't strike me as somebody who would run away from saying what you think. Maybe you would just be calculative or smart in maybe how you say it or which subjects you choose as, all right, that's a hill I'll die on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this. The closest to a political song I've ever gotten to writing is a song about feeling like you're supposed to have it so good and you don't feel like you have it that good.
Yeah.
But the world is telling you you have it amazing.
Which
Which I'm sure you relate to.
Yeah, I've written a couple songs about that.
Other than that, I'm just, honestly, I would be so much happier. Like, I did not care about politics for most of my life.
Yeah.
And I wish the world were in a state where I could continue not caring.
But you can't.
You can't anymore.
Yeah, no, you can't.
But I don't feel comfortable talking about it.
Right.
Because the world will eat you alive no matter what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is sort of a meta conversation here because it's talking about politics.
Yes.
It's not talking about politics.
Which I'm more open to.
Yes, and I know that, and I am respecting that, and I want it to be known. I think it's odd though because I have a lot of people have. It's confused with a lot of social media stuff, but a lot of people have told me that I write political stuff, and I think that's just because they've seen stuff that I've posted and then read that into the lyrics that I write. I'm not comfortable writing about politics. Why would you do that? It seems so ephemeral, it seems so confined to one point in time. Is it really universally applicable? It's like, I don't know if you're a Dylan fan. I assume from a classical perspective, you're probably not.
Like Bob Dylan?
Yeah. Yeah, not really. That's okay. I'll get you there.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, well,
would I listen to it casually? No.
That's okay. It's not okay. God damn it, love Bob Dylan relief. No, he might be one of my favorites. He's an interesting guy though. Apart from whether or not you like him, when he was writing the stuff that he was writing, I think he sort of knew what he was doing, but also he was just writing stuff that he felt and that he believed in. And interviewers would ask him all the time, do you write political songs? He's like, no. they're like, well, obviously this is about X, Y, or Z. And he's like, well, I guess it was inspired partly by that, but no, that's not what I was writing about. He's writing about, in his explanation anyway, he's writing about more universal concepts than just like, oh, what happened in this specific instance, which...
See, that makes me more interested in looking into his stuff.
I can't start on Bob Dylan because I fucking love
You
Bob
just
Dylan.
got so excited.
A lot. Yeah, exactly. You can see it in my face. I can't even hide it. If we were playing poker, you'd know what to bet right now. He's really, really, really good as a writer. I get the vocals and the guitar and blah, blah, blah. And
I saw him at a desert trip.
Yeah. When was that? That was
Oh
that
my
in
God.
Joshua Tree?
No, it wasn't the polo fields, but unfortunately, I was so depressed
Oh,
that
I've never been. What's that like?
Depressed?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
Clinically,
I was
anyway,
so
the doctor
depressed.
says I have problems.
No, I went to this amazing once-in-a-lifetime concert experience, and I was so depressed that I was physically exhausted and could not keep my ass off the ground for the whole thing and didn't enjoy a second of it. But Bob Dylan was particularly torturous.
Yeah, he cuts deep. He's also had a career that's like 6 decades long or something at this point. So.
Yeah. No, I think I enjoy reading his songs more than I do listening to him.
Yeah, I mean, and I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Although I do think that to some degree, if you're writing lyrics for a song, it's not poetry. Poets would disagree with me because poets are assholes and fuck all of you. But good lyrics are meant to be heard, not read. Although with a lot of his stuff, you can read it, and it reads really well because a lot of his songs, he just wrote a poem and then put it to a song,
right?
And you can hear it in the song. It's a boring song, except for his delivery, which is just kind of like when in a hand, like the weird.
I couldn't understand a word he was saying live.
Well, if you saw him within your lifetime, he probably sounded like.
That is accurate.
Yeah, I saw him in 2011 or 12, and it was awesome because I love Bob Dylan.
Okay.
But I can't imagine that anyone who didn't know Bob Dylan was blown away by it because it was.
I couldn't understand a word he was saying, and it all had the same cadence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and he's singing through a voice that you shouldn't be singing through, and that's kind of cool to me. Like I said earlier, I like things that sound like shit. I'm actually kind of attracted to that because you're not supposed to do it, and there's a bunch of factors that go into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is as a lyricist and as a songwriter, really, it's hard to explain how good he is from my perspective. He's worth exploring. There's a lot of different stuff there. But when he was doing the expressly political stuff, interviewers would ask him and he would say, it's not meant to be political, and it's like, is that cheeky or and you can never tell because he's famous for lying to the press, which I think is genius as an artist. Just fuck with them. Who gives a shit?
I've seen that before. I
Yeah.
forget what context, but he totally fucks with people.
He fucks with people hard.
It's so funny.
I love it. It's awesome. It's genius. No one else had really done it like that beforehand. And it's so postmodern. And postmodernism is so stupid. But I love so much postmodern art, in sometimes. And it's cool because it blasted through so many boundaries, but it's bad because it decided that boundaries don't really matter. So now we wound up with the type of art that people are making now where it's just dude, what are rules? It's the things you have to follow to make something coherent. That's what they are. It's really easy, Well, anyway, what were we talking about? Something light about whether or not God exists? Some light subject. Political stuff. Well, so at least from my perspective, I see it as I write a lot of stuff that I think I would consider socially conscious. But I don't think of it politically.
Okay.
And I think social media has done kind of a disservice to artists because you give so much of your soul away on social media. And now where's the mystery to your lyrics? You revealed everything, you know, or you gave away too much information. So now people are reading whatever you said on certain posts into the music that you're
songs.
making. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't shy away from political stuff, but
Yeah.
I would never want to be Rage Against the Machine, for instance. It's so esoteric to a certain degree. It's just, if you don't know the context of what they're writing about, I mean, look, at Rage Against the Machine's best, you still feel that, like, fuck yeah, I want to go burn a government building down, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But, like, specifically this government building, because this administration and during this time and what they did here, it's like,
Right.
all right, now you're starting to split your audience a little bit. This is not as generally applicable.
Right.
Yeah. But, anyhow, I don't know what the hell else I was going to say. But we are approaching a good spot to wrap it up. Let me think if there's anything else. I could probably talk to you for a long fucking time.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I would enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully we get the chance again soon. I got one more question before we leave. And this is something that I was sort of trying to wrap in before. With other people, I've asked 5 artists that you would take to a desert island. So I'll ask you the same thing. Since you don't listen to a whole lot of music, but you listen to some, right?
I do.
You know, like, you've heard music. So if you were forced to go to a desert island, you know, you could only take 5 artists. That could be independent creators. That could be bands. That could be composers. There's not that many rules to this game.
Cool. 5.
Who would you take?
So my starters would be the ones that are predictable based on earlier conversations.
Radiohead.
Tom York, Aurora, Matt Bellamy.
Okay.
Akiana, the painter.
Okay.
She has a fascinating story and beautiful paintings.
What is her story?
I don't know. She's like some god child. Speaking of God, like, I don't know. She has crazy supernatural experiences all the time, which I can relate to. And
You have supernatural experiences?
I do.
Really? But you don't believe in God?
Well, I'm spiritual. We've talked about God being an interesting word.
Yeah.
So I want to actually talk to her. That's 4. I get one other person.
I got to discredit it. It's not a musician.
Oh, it has to be a musician.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said artist.
Musical artist. Sorry. You're right.
Well, those are my easy 3.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious about her personality, I'm going to take Lana Del Rey. I don't love her music, if
I've
I'm
had
being honest.
many people try to get me into her.
I don't love her music. I'm not going to pretend I do, but she's an enigma.
Recently, she put out a statement that I loved, which is she was accused of cultural appropriation and some other BS about her last album. And so for her forthcoming album that I think she hasn't even produced yet, she's said, yeah, this one's just going to be a retaliation against all those people who, like, instead of saying sorry or anything, she was just like, no, actually, fuck you. I didn't do any of that shit, and you can fuck off. Like,
that's been her attitude lately. My roommate has recently gotten really into her.
I love that. And I was, when I was mixing someone else's stuff, I was sent Mariners Village apartment complex, that song by Lana Del Rey as a reference for mixing. It's really pretty. Some of her stuff is produced. It's got like enough of a punk edge that it's not super pretty, but it's super pretty.
It's weird.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I could get down with that. I think I could get down with Lana Del Rey. I've never been a big fan of her music either.
Yeah. Character though.
Fucking character up the wazoo. She has a lot. Yeah. She's got something to offer.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw in, why not? I'll throw in Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. I can't get down with it.
I don't know if I'd actually want her on a desert island now that I think of it. I was a big fan of her EP.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not that big on her album.
What did she release, like an EP and then an album? Is that all she has out?
She has some singles otherwise. They took her EP off Spotify. I don't know.
I'm back and forth. Based on our discussion, I would listen to her based on the fact that you like her. I'm not even kidding. I would.
like her music.
Yeah.
I don't know that we'd get along as people, which is why I'm like questioning the desert island thing.
Hey, look,
because like Lana, I'm taking as a person. Billy, I'm like, I'd love to write a song with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I fucking like Wagner, but some of my friends are Jews. Like Jewish people. My friends are gonna be mad.
Ooh, if I can take a classical composer, can I take Ravel?
Who?
Ravel.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'll take
yes,
Ravel.
you absolutely can.
Sorry, Billy. We're taking Ravel.
Please take. Oh, please, over Billie Eilish. Please. Yeah. You can have a couple honorable mentions if you can think of anybody else, but otherwise, that's a pretty good list. I feel like. Okay. Is Radiohead like if you had to pick one band forever?
One band that's all I can listen to?
Yeah, is that Radiohead for you?
For nostalgia's sake, I'm actually going to go Muse.
Muse, okay. I'll take Radiohead, but I'm a sophisticate, so...
I get it. I understand picking Radiohead. It's just Muse was like the first band I ever got into.
Yeah, I saw them. So I saw them once at a 2,000 cap venue in Detroit when I was a kid.
Wow.
It was fucking killer.
I met Matt Bellamy.
What?
So this is actually an amazing
story. Tell that story. Oh my God. You haven't told that story yet?
So they played like the Shrine or something, which I didn't manage to get tickets to.
Yeah.
Because they're huge.
Yeah.
But they had an after party that my friend knew where it was at.
Yeah.
So we got into this after party and they had a private room. And I was pretty drunk.
Yeah.
But I walk up to the private room. There's a bouncer with like a list.
Yeah.
And I just confidently as fuck say my name. And he's like looking through the list, but I'm just so confident he just lets me in.
No, I'm on. That's me. I'll be going in now. Thank you. Yeah.
So I get in. I actually talk to my freaking idol.
Oh, that's
I get
fantastic.
to talk to him. We cheers and everything. And he was like, I was like, I just want to say, like, I love everything you had to say in your last album. Like, I totally feel that, blah, blah, blah. And he goes like, thank you so much. Like, who are you? And I dismiss myself because I'm drunk and like not expecting to meet Matt Bellamy tonight. I'm like, I'm a baby artist. I haven't released anything yet. I just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
I totally like could have like, I don't know. I'm happy I met him, but
you could have had a different career.
I could have had a different career trajectory.
That's fantastic. I actually respect though that you're just like, no, literally all I wanted to say was like, bye.
Pretty much. That's all I did.
I gotta go. Like, it's absolutely what I would have done with any one of my musical idols. Just like, yeah, all right, I get to say it. Like you just bullheaded. You get your way in there just by bludgeoning your way in, and then
just like nothing.
All right, sayonara. Cool to meet you. Nice accent. And goodbye.
And you're
like,
surprisingly short.
He's a very short person.
He's a very short man.
short dude. But damn, he can play guitar like a god.
Oh, yeah.
And as a composer, he's incredible.
Totally.
And I got to imagine coming from a classical background, it makes sense why you like him that much.
Yeah. And his piano skills?
Off the charts.
Off the charts.
Off the fucking charts. That dude is probably is he a child prodigy?
Probably.
Yeah, because I feel like he got signed up for like the conservatory when he was like 14 or something. Like he got like drafted to be a part of, it's like the London Conservatory or Paris Conservatory, I can't remember, at like a super young age. He was precocious little fuck.
Yeah. The fact that he also has a line, probably my favorite songwriting line of all time, is just, it was a mistake imprisoning our souls.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, he has a lot of good stuff. Lyrically, you like him? Mm-hmm. Lyrically, I don't really like him.
I understand that too.
Yeah? Why?
I understand that. Because it's not like amazing songwriting. There's just gems in there.
Oh, he's got a bunch of really fucking good lines.
Right. But they're like, I get from like an overall song standpoint, I understand why people.
He's not the most poetic. He's very at his worst, he's sort of obnoxiously opaque, I guess. Like, but at his best, he's got I mean, I think people hate Uprising because it's so obvious. I love Uprising because it's so obvious. And when you go to the show, the big old words on the screen like 1984.
Oh, it's very obvious.
It's fucking awesome. Like, are you kidding me? Same with like Knights of Sidonia. It's just super fun. Like, what? Stop thinking about it so much. Like,
Just enjoy it.
It's badass. Like, it's cool. Does Uprising not make you feel like? All right,
like
shit.
Uprising?
I need to go beat the shit out of some authority figures right now. Like, exactly, you know? Knights of Sidonia is totally nailing it at what it wants to do. Like, he's a genius, man. I mean, that band, he got lucky with the musicians around him or someone put him together. I don't know the story there, but that band's amazing, yeah. All right, well, we got your Desert Island. I do have a feeling that we could talk for 10 hours if we wanted to, which is very good. It means we have unfinished business. We'll have to talk soon. But it's been a sincere pleasure having you on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the artist is Astrina. The artist behind the artist is Casey. Don't search Daria Black. Definitely don't search Dario Black. Yeah. And we'll talk soon. I'm going to come and invade your studio. I hope so. You know?
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to you. All right, boom. Podcast complete.
That was fun.
Yeah, genuine pleasure. I'm surprised it might sound insulting, but I'm surprised that we have that much in common.